What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. This video is about a phenomenon that is very, very common, all too common with so many near-death experiences. This is about a life review. So what is exactly a life review? Moreover, what is the purpose of a life review? Now, this is Dr. Jeffrey Long, who has studied over 1,000 near-death experiences. I guess he's been studying this topic for approximately 25 years, maybe now 26 years, as this video is a year old. But he goes through a really great recount of a time where he lectures about near-death experiences and talks about the life review in particular. And he gives this great breakdown of the why and the purpose of these life reviews. And for those of you guys who don't know what a life review is, a life review generally is where you go through and you basically review all or some or a bunch of pieces of your life, both positive and negative. And something that he mentions here is, we think about in a lot of mainstream religions, there's like a tally being taken of all the good things and the bad things you've done. And there's sort of a weighting and a weighing and a balancing of those. And then that's going to determine whether or not you go to heaven or hell, right? It's this really crazy bifurcation of outcomes where one is like ultimate bliss and joy and the other one is absolute hell and terror. Whereas the way that he describes it is it's all done through a non-judgmental lens. Like you can, of course, have judgments and thoughts about it, but the idea is more to teach, to educate. And that goes back and melds very nicely with this general concept of the purpose of life being centered around learning and understanding and trying to improve, as opposed to, hey, you got to pass this test. And if you don't, you're a total failure and you're going to be punished eternally. It's not exactly like that, at least according to Dr. Long. All right, now we're going to jump into the mix here and we're going to listen to this amazing story and discussion of a life review. And then I'm going to follow up with my thoughts at the end here.
And boom, there I was in my community giving my very first public talk about that. So I went through what happens during a near-death experience and got to the life review and talked about how, as you know, you can see part or even all of your prior life. I mean, just amazing, isn't it? You could be unconscious or clinically dead for minutes, and yet you can review decades of your life. So while I was sharing that, I was aware that the audience seemed concerned. There was a different mood, and I kind of go, okay, am I saying something wrong? What am I? Geez, I haven't talked about this before. What's going on here? So it was only afterwards that old line formed up. People came up and asked, and I had over and over people would come up and say to the effect, Dr. Long, I am concerned about the life review. I've done things I'm not proud of. And so immediately after that was a one and only time I didn't give the caveat in talking about the life review to emphasize exactly what you just said, that essentially never is there any sense of external judgment when you're reviewing your life. Yes, you can be aware of what you did that was good, loving, compassionate, unloving, uncompassionate, how affected other people. And you imagine seeing that, but it's very important for people to know there's essentially never any external judgment. Now, of course, the person having the near-death experience is out of free will. They can form any opinion they want. They can think about, wow, that was good. I really nailed that one. It was really loving, compassion, and gee, look how it affected that person's life so positively because I reached to them out in that very good way. And, learn like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have stolen that popsicle from that child when I was a kid. So that can be, it's very important to know that there's not going to be that external judgment. And in fact, the life review, there's a real silver lining to that cloud, and people can be transformed by that, learn, see. I mean, I can't think of a better way to inform living the rest of your life than a life review, to really understand in that very dramatic way what was good, what was loving, how you want to live your life, and how you don't want to live your life. So a life review has that tremendous potential to really help people to be better people for all the rest of their life, and really deep down understand how important their interactions are with other people. And certainly it helps them to be much more aware of their interactions, much more focused on how they can reach out positively to others, to the world, than they possibly did before. It probably underlies a lot of these very important value changes that we see, the after effects of near-death experiencers.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Number one, something that he didn't touch upon, but that I've heard many NDEs talk about, is the idea that when we're talking about actions or events that happen in your life, you actually feel the emotions that you conjure up in somebody else. If you hurt somebody, you're going to feel what you put them through. If you help somebody and made them feel good, you're going to feel that positive vibration and that positive energy as well. So you go through this entire experience feeling your impact effectively from the perspective of each person that you impacted. So for those who are returning back to life, they're having a life review, but then they're coming back to the earth like their life is not finished. Yes, I see exactly what he's saying. I think that it's absolutely right. It has profound effects. A lot of people come back changed. They realize they don't want to hurt as many people, or they want to help more people, or devote their lives more towards just raising the vibration of others from these experiences. But the other question that remains is, this is for the people that left and came back. What about the people that their lives have truly ended and there's no coming back? The body cannot be saved and they have to go on. Do they still experience a life review? My understanding is that yes, they do experience a life review. So what then is the purpose at that point? Well, this gets into a broader discussion of, is there just one life or are there multiple lives? And by pretty much every account that I've listened to for an NDE, they talk about this, of like this idea of, yes, you live multiple lives. Sometimes they even get to see the previous or parallel lives, as they're called, that they've lived before. So in the case where you don't come back, I think that life review for sure still happens, and it's meant as an education tool, not as a tool of judgment, not as a tool of, okay, well, based on X, Y, and Z, based on these factors, based on some spiritual mathematical equation, you're going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven. It's not like that. It's meant to learn, and then you can hopefully improve and elevate yourself, whether you come to a new life or whether you stay in the ethereal for a while. And either way, it's meant to be a learning experience that hopefully raises your vibration. So I think that's just like life here is a learning experience, and we're meant to do well, make mistakes, live our life to the best of our abilities, and hopefully through that process learn. But I think the life review is sort of like that exit interview at the end, where you look at everything good and bad objectively, not trying to argue, not trying to say, well, but wait a minute, you have to remember when I did this, there was a reason. No, it's none of that. It's just, this is what it is. You have to accept it because there's nothing else to do. Just pure truth. There's no denying. It's just all out there on the table. And then you hopefully learn and adjust from it. So I think that ultimately, there's a bit of my own speculation in there in terms of how I'm interpreting them, but it's also informed by a lot of NDEs, also some of the books that I've read, as I mentioned, Journey of Souls, and a few others that talk about life reviews. But that's what I think ultimately is the reason why. And again, if life is meant to be a learning experience, doesn't it only make sense that at the end of life, you would take the time to review everything in its totality and go through everything, positive and negative, so you can take away nuggets, just like you would do if you went on a trip or went to a job or did anything like that, right? You'd want to have a review at the end to examine everything and then hopefully learn and improve going forward. So anyways, that's what a life review is. That, in my estimation, is generally, I think, what the purpose of a life review is. And I think what's really important here, though, that I want to end on is this idea that it's a non-judgmental life review, meaning whatever happened, good or bad, there's no, hey, you're a terrible person, or, oh, you're such a great person. It's just objectively you examine it, and then you see how you can pivot and move forward and improve and hopefully raise your vibration going forward. That's all I got for you guys today in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.